We have with us Mr. Bruce Norris. Now, Bruce was not initially scheduled to be at this event, at the live event, because remember, this event was scheduled to be live. We now changed the webinar. Bruce was actually scheduled to be on vacation, but with a turn of events, could not go on vacation. And when I called him and said we were putting together this emergency webinar, Bruce was nice enough to donate his time. So we're actually visiting Bruce via Skype. And Bruce has, over the last 4 decades, primarily been a real estate investor, has been involved in several thousand real estate transactions, and has been very successful because he has the keen ability to take a look at charts and graphs and to determine whether or not the market is going to tick up, down, when you should be in and out. And so we're looking for his insight, his guidance, get his thoughts on the recent events. So Bruce, thank you for being with us, sir.
Well, thank you. If we've ever been in uncharted territory, this fits.
The first question from the live audience is, where are we headed? You know, what should people do in this situation? You know, of course, you know, our client base are landlords. They're concerned that their tenant base may be without a paycheck in a couple, 2-3 weeks here. Does the rent show up? What do we do to move forward?
Well, I'd say one thing, you know, first of all, yes, you're going to have a lot of people lose their jobs to no fault of their own. And a lot of us are much more wealthy than those people that are in that. You're not going to be able to evict them anyway. And if these people have been good tenants, they'll be good tenants again. So this is an unusual circumstance where we have to be pretty patient about them paying whatever they can. I'm in the same boat. I've already thought about that. And I have a feeling there's some government programs that are being talked about aggressively giving people money, and not a little money. The one that I read just last night, they were talking about $2,000 a piece for each adult, $1,000 for each child. So I think that they're going to get really serious about trying to prevent that Great Depression, because this is not going to be a Great Depression that takes 10 years. This will be a depression statistically that could get there in 3 to 6 months, and they're trying to prevent that.
Now, at our previous, well, let's go back just as late as the fall. In the fall, you thought that there could be a seismic event. Again, of course, no one thought it would be a virus, but nonetheless, this is a systemic event. I said seismic, systemic event. What brought you to that? What brought you to that conclusion 2 weeks ago? What brought you to the conclusion that the stock market would hit 20,000? What indicators are you looking at that you're able to hit these things right on the head?
You know, those aren't charts. Those are understanding people's reactions. So we have a nature to overreact, and we have an attachment to news every second. So it's pretty easy to get worked up over something, and pretty easy to push the sell button, and maybe not so easy to sell real estate, that type of thing. So in a way, we're kind of blessed in that we have a pretty stable asset that we don't push a button and get rid of it within 15 seconds. So, but I when I was working out with my buddy, and he was leaving on a vacation, which was a 14-day vacation that lasted 4 days before he barely got in the country. Yeah, we were working out. The stock market was around 28,000. And I said, I bet we see 20 before we see 30. And he was like, yeah, right. And it had nothing to do with me knowing stocks. It had me knowing people.
And, you know, you've been through several downturns now. What makes this one different? I know we're just on the onset of it, but how is this one different?
Yeah, this is very different. In our lifetime, we've not had a closing of what we are going through and what we're about to go through. You know, in the next 30 days, you're going to be at home. You probably won't be going to a hotel, a restaurant, a baseball game. Vegas is closed, on and on. We're gonna basically need to stop our society in its tracks for 30 days plus, and to prevent the spread of this. We've not had this before. John Malden, another guy I respect, he said, "This isn't fighting a virus, this is war." Well, I have a feeling, and I know you would agree with this, that this will bring out the best of us, not the worst. We are capable of solving this, and we are, in fact, turning loose a lot of tools. They have things at war that they can enact for very quick production of things, and that's where we're at. So this is unlike anything we've had. If you own real estate, apartments, you're good. Most of us are, I understand this. This is called a feigned crisis. Me and a friend were going to lunch one day. He owned 50 free and clear houses, and his mood was being ruined because somebody was late on one rental house for 10 days. And I looked at him. I said, buddy, you are having a feigned crisis because there's nothing wrong in your life that it should entail having that kind of a mood. Most of us have been very blessed. And you know what? We need to think about being on the other side of that coin where you're 30 days away from being homeless with a family.
Yeah. And it's scary because even myself, I went to the supermarket yesterday. I got there probably 20, 30 minutes early. There already was a line 25 people deep. And as you go down the aisles, there's very little canned goods, bread, some staples. And like you mentioned, many of us are on a different socioeconomic level, obviously, than our tenants. And so I think we need to be cognizant of helping those that we can, because if you back a tiger into the corner, in other words, we know that the average American has less than $1,500 in savings. And so if you're that individual, supply of money is getting low, you go to the store, there's not much to be had, you're the tiger in the corner, what do you do?
Yeah, you got people that are, on the edge month to month. Let's be more kind than aggressive. That's for sure.
Now, obviously, on the other side of these type of economic calamities, there's opportunity. Before we get to opportunities, if you were an investor who you knew in the next, say, a year to 2 years, you were going to be selling anyhow, you hope that you could just eke out a little bit more in equity. If they came to you for advice, now these are individuals who are going to sell either way. Do they sell today because you don't think that the same price would be had in 2 years, or do you think they hold in and to sell would be a knee-jerk reaction?
Yeah, I wouldn't be a seller during this time. This is going to be a very severe time for the next 60 days. We're not going to have life as we know it. To try to put anything up for sale right now, the buyer is also kind of frozen. They're going to be in a place that there's going to be fear. I don't see where you'd benefit selling in the next 60 to 90 days. That would make no sense. Now, going out further, when we get past this, I have a feeling that things will return to normal, and the one asset class that wouldn't have been hurt as much would be real estate. You're not going to have a bunch of foreclosures enter the market in the time frame of this. We may have a statistical depression if you're a stock market investor. Let's say that entails going down 60% and you're at 35 right now. But you know what? It isn't going to take 2 years, and it's probably going to come back once we have an economy that gets on its feet again. But as far as selling real estate inside of this time frame, I would not attempt to do that.
And are you like the optimistics that you believe if and when this recovery kicks in, it's going to be a V-shaped recovery, and if anything, we could even exceed the highs that we just encountered?
No, I do not feel it'll be a V-shaped recovery, because this is taken out things that won't be. You can't get the guy just in Hawaii missed $5,000 of rent and it's gone. I'm not paying 2 weeks for one. I'm paid for one and I'm staying in November, but I already prepaid it. So he's missing a chunk of his revenue. There's going to be jobs that are lost for a considerable length of time. That spending is gone. So no, I don't think we have a V-shaped. I think we have something much slower. but we'll come back.
Now, here in a few minutes, I'm going to walk our audience through some of the growth projects that I have completed and those that I'm in the middle of which you were the hard money, your company, I should say, lent us the money and private money. And we bought smart. I can weather a storm for a little while, so your money's protected, Bruce. But on that side of the coin, being the lender, how do you see things shaping up?
Well, that's a great question because we just had a part of what I was doing was talking to our investor base. They are homeowners or they're investors or trustees. I expect the same patience and consideration out of the money side if there was something that occurred that prevented a payment. I really think it's a good time to sit there and go realize this is not going to be I don't think this is going to be a 2-year event. I sure as heck hope not. This is going to hit hard and quick. We're going to have a really tough 30 to 60 days. The people, most of our business is flippers. So it's known to be vacant the whole time. So that's not a surprise. What might be a surprise is the revenue they typically get from rents might go down, or the flipping that they had already in escrow didn't close. All those things can happen. Chris, I think it really helps that we really deal with decent people, to be honest with you, borrower side and people with the money side. And I'll be in the middle of that going, hey guys, let's cooperate with each other because we're all in this together. We really are. So you don't want to foreclose. First of all, you can't foreclose, so forget that. And he's got to wait till something closes or he refis to get some liquidity. How about we just work it out? I mean, that's where I'm going to be in the middle. And 2008, I did that a lot. If you were 30 days for the first time in your life, I called and just said, what's up? Let's help. Let's do it.
Sure. And if, let's say, you and I weren't going to be, or you and I wouldn't have the opportunity to talk over the next 90 days, of course we will. I'll be staying close to you to see your thoughts as things transpire. But if we couldn't have another conversation for 90 days, what advice would you give those individuals that are holding multifamily properties? Potentially some of the tenants may lose jobs. Maybe there is some government aid, but it doesn't come as quick as we need. What would be, I mean, you've been very successful at this. What would be your advice to them for the next 3 months?
I guess I would say keep your priorities in order. Be thankful you can still hug your family members and that you have the substance to last through this, and be respectful of the people that are your tenants and that they have family members that need to survive too. This is no joke. John Malden is right. This is war. So we need to, instead of thinking about our assets and our cash flow, I guess we need to think about the safety of all the people that help us get here.
And to correct me if I'm wrong, but to summarize, you believe we're going to get hit hard, but it's going to be brief and swift, but there should be another recovery, or there will be a recovery on the other side of this, and it won't take as long as some people are suggesting, like with the Great Depression, or say even the 2008 financial collapse.
Well, see, the 2008 financial collapse was caused by a glut of foreclosures that entered the market at something like 80% of the inventory for sale. Well, you don't have that loan base. That isn't going to happen. Real estate's going to be the least affected. You're going to have a bond world for business bonds have a big problem, but the Fed's going to underwrite that and buy them. So this is going to be what's going to be hard is you're going to be at home. I mean, that's the truth. If we're not thinking that way, we're kidding ourselves. For the next 60 days, we're by and large, we're going to be isolating ourselves so we don't pass it on and we don't get it. So just think about what's not going to occur. That's an astonishing thing. That basically business is just not going to be conducted like normal. So, and for a good reason. We're trying to save our lives. That's a odd way to feel, but I finally sort of get it. That's how serious it is. We don't want to be Italy squared. We really don't.
Well, thank you, Bruce. Thank you for your time. I know our audience greatly appreciates that you took a moment to join us. and we'll be talking soon.
Okay, take care, you guys.